everybody, welcome back to the latest webinar in the Independent Gym series. They seem to be coming up more and more often these days. So we obviously had one yesterday launching the talking about the Find Your Place campaign. Obviously we've got today with EGYM and Tanya Hall hosting for us. So thank you to Tanya for jumping on. This is webinar 22 now, so yeah, rocking along. All of them are listed on the excuse me, on the YouTube channel if you want to have a look back. Please do. But for now though, we're going to be talking about health seekers. I think there's been a bit of a change in mentality with the public in general, in terms of everybody's looking to get fit. But I think because of COVID and everything what everyone's gone through, more and more people are thinking about just their health in general. So I think there's going to be a change in audience, I think, moving forward for gym owners. So as always, we're going to record this, we're going to post it later. We are doing the chat feature as well. So I think on that note, let's hand over to Tanya to make her debut, and let's see what she wants to say.
Perfect, thanks Rob. Yeah, number 22, so a special one, right? So guys, thank you for joining me today, and thank you Rob for the introduction. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tanya and I'm EGYM's UK Marketing Manager. Now, I don't want to keep you too long today because I know we're getting very close to a very important date for you all, but I just really wanted to kind of be here today and share some of the priorities that I would class as in a reopening strategy for marketing. And this is very much based on my previous experience to the role that I'm in now, where I worked for a local authority as their brand sales and marketing manager across their 3 leisure sites. So that's where I'm kind of coming from you at today, is what really would I have done in this situation and what messaging would I have put out there. So let's look at today at the top 3 priorities that I want to talk about. Cool, has that changed for everyone? Because that was a little bit slow for me there. So first of all, let's talk about your members. We know that there'll be members that will be really keen to return, but how do we look at all of your members in total and what is the right messaging to bring them back? Secondly, I want to talk about obtaining new members, which is really where that health seeker starts to come in. Who are they? What is this new demographic and what are they kind of looking for? And then once you've got all of these members, how do we make sure that they stick around, and what marketing tasks can you do that's going to help to support that? So before we begin, I just wanted to briefly talk about the change in mindset with this new reopening. And I know that you guys have probably seen slides like this a lot, especially over this last 12-month period. I'm not a scientist, I'm not going to bore you. I just wanted to highlight a couple of facts. So back in May 2020, there was a survey done in partnership with Sport England, and they looked at the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on attitudes and the behaviours towards physical activity. They deemed at that point that 87% of current gym members were likely to resume their facilities when they reopened. Now, I know that everyone kind of saw very different bounce back rates, and I know that a lot of people were kind of assuming that there wasn't that high. And I think at the time we put that down to a lot of anxiety and fear about people returning to normal situations. But now if we move forward 6 months and we look at this vaccination rollout in the UK and the sharp decline of new daily cases, I think it really does show that gyms are really back on track to receive members and get new members alike. And I do believe that what we probably called fear 6 months ago has now turned into more of an anxiety, which is something that with the right message we can get around. So what is the right message? So first of all, let's focus on your returning members. So even with a predicted high level of confidence in a return, there is still going to be a lot of uncertainty around returning to their gym. How are they going to be able to train? What are the restrictions going to be? And so on and so forth. And for you as an operator, this is going to mean an increase in the demand for communication. However, not everyone will have the same level of anxiety. And although you cannot send a personalised message to every single member in your base, we can probably look at defining your membership into 3 categories. And this is how I would have defined them when I was back in that position. So first of all, you've got your confident members. So these are the people, come wind, rain or shine, are banging down your doors to come in. They want to get in 5 minutes earlier than they open. They want you to stay 5 minutes later when you leave. They have got no issues with coming back at all. And this probably equates to 20 to 25% of your membership base. Now, these are what I would class as your regular visitors. Their anxiety level is probably going to be extremely low if they have any. And all these guys want to know is, when are you opening and how can I get back in? So the message for these guys is really quite simple. We can't wait to have you back. You will still need to book your session, and this is the way that you can do it. They don't need to see about restrictions. They probably highly likely came during the period that you opened in the summer, and they're aware of those restrictions. So these guys just literally want to know when and how do I do it. So they're a quite nice, easy bunch that you can rely on returning. Now, the next group I want to talk about is the more cautious group. This is going to be a bigger bulk of your membership. So you're probably looking about 50 to 60% of your base. These people pre-COVID would have probably visited your centre once a week or less, and on return will probably have a mild anxiety. It may take them longer to return, or they may feel like they want to return and actually do more because their health has now become a little bit more of an issue for them. So these guys are very similar in the sense that they want to know how to get back in, but they also want to know how they do it carefully. So the message to these guys really is what to expect. So we can't wait to have you back. Here's what to expect when you walk in. These are the restrictions that are still currently in place, and here's how to book your slot when you return. So ultimately you want to get to the same goal where you're getting them to book back in and commit to coming back to you, but the approach is slightly a little bit more hand-holding and a little bit more looked after in that sense. And then you've got this third category. Now, coming from a leisure background, I would always class these as my sleeper groups. So this is probably anything from 20 to 25% of your base. And they are people that pre-COVID probably wouldn't have visited your centre at all, but would have still been paying. This was always a lovely group to have, but there was always a less of an opportunity to want to wake them up, shall we say. So they may have not been coming for many reasons. They may have forgot that they was even paying. They may just be paying on the intent that someday I will return. But what probably has happened over this 12-month period, and with all the changes in the financial situation around direct debits, is you probably would have communicated to these people. Now, you may have found that you got a higher level of cancellations through communicating with these people, but you would have found that some of them are still there. So even though they haven't been and they have been paying, if they are still there now, that is a really good sign that actually they have the intent to return. But we need to be cautious around how we can communicate with them. These are probably the guys that will have a higher level of anxiety and really need a hand-holding process around it. So the message to these guys, from what I would say, is very much around, we are here to help you. We are here to support you. Let's get your fitness journey back on track. What can we do for you? Let's offer you a free review. Let's get you back in with a trainer and really restart your journey from scratch. So I think it's just looking at the fact that we can really communicate with what is effectively that same group of people, but with a very slight different message to be able to ensure that we are reaching the right person at the right time. Now, these can be done on email, and if anyone doesn't open the email, just get it resent out in the next couple of weeks. Probably the week after would be perfect. You may want to look at the anxious group about doing that slightly differently and communicating them in a different way, whether that be a phone call. But let's really make sure that the way that we talk to this different group reflects the way that they're really feeling. So that's the membership base kind of in a nutshell, if you like. So now let's take a look at your other marketing channels and what you can do to help communicate the right message to your members. So let's start with your website. Now, for all the emails that you want to send out, they will get missed. And people often won't open an email, but will refer to your website if they're looking for updates. So make sure that your website is updated. You're very likely to have made changes through this process to highlight your closures, update on any COVID restrictions that you may have had in place, or even update them of any virtual services that you put on. Don't take these pages down because customers are used to visiting to that page to see it. Instead, just update the new information. So, for example, on your homepage banner, you could announce your reopening date right at the top of the page and make it as visible as possible. If you have enabled any pop-ups, then please make sure that you change that to include your opening date and any welcome back message or promotion that you want to highlight. On your pricing page, which people probably will be attending if they're looking as a new member, highlight any welcome back promotions that you're offering, as well as any updated virtual memberships or add-ons or bolt-ons that you may have decided that through this process, you're now going to keep those moving forward as part of a hybrid membership. And then look at any additional pages. So if you've been doing live streaming or offering different services during the time, make sure that these all reflect the same as everything else so that you've got a continuation of the offerings that you're going through. And then use your FAQ page to really share what steps you're going to take to ensure the safety of your members and your staff. So here's where you can really talk about your reduced capacity, your heightening of cleaning, and everything else that you really want to get across to them about the safety side of being in the site. So now let's have a look at your social platforms. Firstly, make sure that you update all of your online platforms to reflect the same information that you have on your website. Sometimes it's really easy to put different information and it can cause confusion if people look across both. Also consider that you may have made changes to things like Google My Business during this period to relate to your closure, and you may have even put revised hours on there. So make sure that all of that is up to date and reflects the right service for customers that are looking in. So before you open, make sure that you update each social profile with your new reopening date and any changes made to your schedule and services. Next, it's about your social media posts. Plan them out and schedule them out. You're probably going to be busy when you reopen, and I know that we are all hoping that we will be extremely busy. So take the time now to plan your social media strategy and get your posts scheduled out automatically to go out for the next few weeks ahead of time. These tools are all designed to give you the ability to plan, and I would make this a priority to get done before you open your doors, so that once your doors are open, you can just sit back and know that that's all happening. And remember to get creative with it. Remember, you may have brand new members who are excited to check out your facility for the first time. So don't be afraid to do things like recording a welcome or a welcome back video. These will be great assets to put into the email communication that you want to send out to members as well. Show your facility's personality and make it feel really welcoming. Do a tour of your facility on your camera. Show a new member the journey from start to finish to get from the entrance of the facility into the gym, and it will make them automatically see all of the restrictions in place along the way and make them feel really comfortable about entering your site. And then just showcase any new and improved offerings that you've added, how you're keeping the area as safe as possible, and make sure that if you do have any current ads running through Facebook or Instagram, just make sure that you're updating them with the most information of your reopening as well. I've seen some really, really great examples of all of the above from all different style of customers, which have all gone down really well with members, and there's been some really positive actions there on social media. So definitely, if you can, I would suggest doing those. So now let's take a look at ways to attract new members. Firstly, with the unfortunate events of gyms having to close their doors, we all know that there are going to be gyms out there that will not reopen them. And it is a really unfortunate situation. And as terrible as we all feel about it, we have to be honest as a business and look at the opportunities that there will be that will come from this. So with up to a fifth of UK gyms potentially having to close their doors permanently, there is a huge opportunity out there for your facility to pick up these members. So here's the kind of few steps that I would kind of look at taking. So have you looked, for example, in your local area to see if any of the facilities locally are not going to be reopening? Do you know the member of that facility, or could you contact the owner to see if there's a possibility that you can offer their members a new home to come and train with you? Does the closed facility have a similar offering to you, or are the members even the right demographic for your facility? All the information that you can build and gather will help you to build your campaigns and help you focus on aiming your marketing at the right people that are now out there looking for a new place to come and train. And in the first few months of reopening, physical marketing such as leaflets left in popular places may not be possible. It will really depend on the facility and the shop that you're talking to. But some companies may be okay with small banners or posters within their shops, which will then also help you promote the facility. So have a look around that closed gym and have a look at where these people could potentially be. Coffee shops are a great one, just to see if there's an additional element of advertising that you can get in there just to help promote your brand. And then the main topic of today that I really want to talk to you about is this new demographic of people that you've probably seen this word chucked out a lot. So let's delve a little bit into what we mean by health seekers. So during the return of members to the gym after the first lockdown, we noticed a shift of program choice on our very own smart equipment. People were switching from aesthetic improvement programs to health improvement programs, which shows that people are placing their health needs first and are looking for something different from their training. The most selective program on our kit during this first return phase was called Immunity Boost, which specifically is designed to aim at increasing immunity. So who are this new group of health seekers? Well, research even is showing us that people are now more concerned with exercising for their health. More and more people are looking for ways to support their immune system and reduce factors that place them in risk categories. There is a growing desire for diet changes and exercise to boost the body's defense against infection. Now, this opportunity to grow your membership comes from the 85% of the UK population that currently do not belong to a facility. Their inexperience, however, within a gym setting means that they will require a more highly personalised service. So where do you find them? I think the biggest question actually is, how do they find you? So firstly, you need to see that if this group do come looking for you, what are they going to find? Does your social content, for example, make them feel safe? Does your website look inviting enough for this particular group of people? If they Google search for you for a gym around them, will you pop up? And even does your reception provide that right first impression for them to walk into and feel comfortable? If they genuinely have made them first steps to find you, which may be a huge first step for them already, does your current content make them feel comfortable continuing on this journey with you? So what I would suggest is have a look at your current content through the eyes of someone who may never have had the confidence to join a facility and may now only be coming through your doors out of a fear or an anxiety that they actually need to improve their health. This can be a great exercise to go through because we will get very used to looking at our content in the mindset that we're already in. And sometimes we forget to empathize and look at things through the eyes of the people that we're trying to aim it at. So ensure that your messaging always relates to the benefits of health and improving immunity. Focus less on body improvement, things like weight loss. And then don't forget about referrals. Don't be afraid to ask your members to invite friends and family to join. It's highly likely that they will also want to see their family members increasing their immunity to protect them as well. You can do it using rewards, as you've probably done in the past, offering your member a free month, for example, but always make sure that you're keeping that focus on them, that they are helping and improving their family members' immunity or health. And then we can look to the local community. Social advertising locally can be helpful, and defining your health message and aiming it at your local demographic will definitely support new members to know that you are there and you're encouraging them to join to put them on a health journey. There's also the opportunity for physical marketing. We mentioned before, like leaflets, coffee sleeves, or even coffee cups, which I actually did back in the day when I worked for my old site, which were fantastic and a great way to get your brand and message out there in the local community. You may even find that with many businesses looking to reopen and the struggles that they've been through themselves, they may well welcome the support of you purchasing these items for them, which gives benefits to both of you. So definitely look out for opportunities in the community that you can do that. And then what are you offering? So health seekers are looking at their health. They're less likely to be focused on price or a price offer if that's what you wanted to put out there. They know that the time is now, whether that's through fear or anxiety, and they actually want the support to get it right. So be cautious around price advertisement and always make sure that you're focusing on the health improvement, supporting and the benefits that they'll get out of training. So now that you've got your members returning, you've got this new demographic that are either looking for you or you're looking for them. How do you actually keep members with you? How do we look at making them stay? So let's look at some ways from marketing that we can do that. So members that are now focused on health may have had just enough motivation to walk through the door and join, but now it's your job to keep them coming back by motivating and engaging them. Let's have a look at some of the different ways that you can use marketing messages to keep them with you. So first of all, let's look at communication. So always make sure that the communication that you're doing is an encouragement. So whether that's an encouragement to visit, you can do that simply by things like push notifications, emails, keep them up to date with restrictions as they change. These people are already going to be conscious of being there. It's going to take them a while to build up that confidence. If they come in one day and something's changed and they wasn't aware of it, that can be a really big barrier for them. So just make sure that with any change in restriction or change in the policies that you do, you're going to keep everybody up to date. And then always remind them of the health benefits of training. The reason that's finally got this group through the door is around their health. So make sure that all of the communication that you provide to them is always giving them that reminder that they're doing it for their health benefits. And then looking at community. So make sure that you invite them to challenges. Now, we're not talking about climbing mountains or running 10K. We're talking some really simple stuff to get them engaged with you and your brand. So it could be as simple as doing 5,000 steps a day. Get them to build up, but also make them feel like they're part of the team. And it's something that they can do outside of the centre and within the centre, so it will bring them together. Don't forget to invite them to all of your social groups and all of your social channels, because there will be a huge amount of support and content on there for them. You may find that you might want to set up a specific group for your Facebook page that really helps this particular group of people to kind of connect, and then you can find that they can help and support each other as well. And then encourage them to refer a friend or family member. You get sort of the double benefit out of this. They know that they've got someone to come with, which ultimately knows that then they will come for longer. But then you guys also get some advertisement out there and get some additional members in. So that's a great way to help them and help you as well. And then lastly, encouraging staff to maintain a safe but comfortable environment. Now, we've all got very used to seeing people in face masks over the last 12 months, but it's also become very hard to kind of put across the right feel while you've got a face mask on as well. So just make sure that your staff, I'm sure that they are already extremely friendly, but let's just make sure that even with that face mask on, they are still coming across like it's a really safe and comfortable environment. And then looking at results. So these guys are looking for small improvements. They obviously need to be reminded of that regularly, because it's going to become a lot harder to see the results that they think that they're there for. So make sure that you are regularly reminding them of the small improvements to keep them motivated to come back. When you're doing that, always use health markers, because again, that's the reason that they've joined. So let's make sure that we're always reminding them of the health benefits of what they're doing, and make sure that they keep that going and how far they're going to get with that. One of the biggest things when we're first joining gyms, and we probably all know, and we've probably all been there, is around building that habit. So let's make sure that we're rewarding them very quickly and early on for achieving that habit building as quickly as possible. This could be as simple as after their 6th visit, offering them a free cup of coffee on their way out next time that they come in, or even just a text message or a push notification to say, hey, well done, you've done your first 6 sessions, that is great. And then personalised training programs. Now, we're not expecting you to write 3,000 training programs out personalised to everyone, but similar with the membership base there, it's making sure that you probably have maybe 5 to 10 that are predetermined that will suit this group, that you know that the trainers can allocate to them to make them feel like you've really took on board what they're trying to achieve. So just make sure that with all of this, that you keep your messages consistent across your brand, so that your staff members and your customer journey reflect the messaging that you are trying to market out there. These messages can all be communicated through newsletters, social media, push notifications, and many more. Now, I know that there is a lot of information in there, and I apologise for that, but there are also a lot of things out there digitally that can support you in tools to make sure that this becomes as easy as possible for you and as automated as possible. So of course, one of those is EGYM's very own branded member app. Now, using these platforms and digital services like apps does give you an instant and safe way of communicating messages, and can provide the member with the feeling that you are really taking care of them. So I'm just going to show you a quick look at how our app can support you. So EGYM make it really easy to be able to communicate and facilitate all of your marketing touch points through our very own branded member app. From communicating to your members with push notifications at the touch of a button, to offering rewards for the small wins to keep your members returning. It can also give your members instant feedback on progress, like bio-age analysis and activity levels for improvement, as well as providing your facility with some automated digital processes to make your facility run effectively and efficiently, such as things like gym slot bookings, which we know we're all kind of probably still going to need to make sure that we keep at capacity levels, and even member challenges, which can be as simple as hitting 5,000 steps a day. So EGYM's branded member app was designed with facilities like yourself in mind, to really try and take as much of the manual process and hard work out of member experience and touch points that we can. Now, you may have seen it through Rob and the independent group, but we recently put out an offer for some spaces on a beta test trial, where you can actually test out this app free for 90 days and provide us with some crucial feedback after your trial. And if you wish to participate in this, you can absolutely drop me an email at the end. We still have some spaces available to do that. So finishing up really quickly from me, just wanted to really really get the message across that marketing covers every message that you put out there with your brand, whether it's a social post, a newsletter, website information, or even things that you build into your customer journey through platforms and apps. And you have to make sure that there's consistency across that. On top of that, just to help you, I've also created a digital download that I can share with you after this meeting. Simply drop me an email on my email address that's on the screen now. It will give you 5 weeks of content for social posts, newsletter content, and printed marketing material that all have a health-focused content basis to help support you with your reopening. So literally, if you would like that, just drop me an email and I'll send that across for you. And that's it from me. So didn't want to keep you guys for too long. So thank you for your time today. And I wish you all the luck with your reopening.
Thank you very much, Tanya. Thank you very much. How was that for your debut with us?
Shall I breathe now?
No, I think, you know, that was really good. And really interested in looking at existing members, also new members. I think every time I do these webinars, I'm making questions as we go, but you basically answered everything as we went as well. So I'll just scribble a question down and then you've answered it in the following sentence. So that's probably a good sign. So I've probably got more statements really. If anyone else has got any questions, drop them into the chat feature and we'll go through. The bit for me that probably stands out is when you talk about sleeping members, the ones that have carried on paying, even if they haven't used, like pre-lockdown, if they weren't regular visitors but carried on paying, it really does show that they want to stick around. They'll have known that their payment's coming out. And I think that's such a positive message to engage with them on. And
I think that one of the things that probably makes me think a little bit different to others is the fact that I am this 85%. I've had a membership at a gym that I've carried on left because this time I am going back. So, you know, I completely understand that people that have cancelled, they've probably been woken up, they've realised that they're paying for it, they're not quite ready for that. But the people that have continued to pay, even though they now know that they're paying and haven't been, they're a crucial audience for me because it shows that they are ready, but that doesn't mean that they're quite ready to just go hard. They don't want beach bodies. They don't want all of these campaigns that we're probably really used to throwing to them at this time of year when holidays are coming into effect, because let's face it, we're probably not going on a holiday. So it's really just making sure that this particular group of people are really handheld through the process of coming back, not made to feel like they've done anything wrong by letting that membership elapse, but actually let's get you restarted on your journey and we are 100% here to support you.
And I think if you can get that group of members engaged properly, I think your retention figures further down the line could be huge as well. So I think that's such a positive.
Definitely.
Right, let's tick that box. Talked about Exmembers. I don't know what I scribbled down here, but Exmembers are obviously going to be a huge thing. How would you approach them in terms of, would you look at the same 3 groups when they were previous members in terms of regular visitors?
Do you know, I think for ex-members, I think you've kind of got to go down that same point of looking at your sleepers. There's a reason that they've left you. We don't need to highlight what that was. We don't need to remind them that there was a reason that they left you. It's just about now reminding them that you are there to care for them. They may well be at another facility, but they may not be. They may have cancelled because they're no longer at a facility. So I think treating this particular group, if you wanted to put a comeback offer in, you're more than welcome to do so. But I think that any offer that you put to come back has to be secondary to the message that your health is important and this is where we really want to help you.
Definitely. And then I think the last sort of point I've scribbled down here, I'm trying to read my own writing. I think the health seekers for me are going to come from the 85%. I think if the 15% that are in theory engaged with us already, they're here for fitness, or that's probably their main aim. But the 85% is going to come from that bunch, and it's the messages that go out to those guys. And I think for me, it's all about a hand-holding approach.
Definitely.
I'm not going to be comfortable with a gym. So it's how do you get the message across that you're a welcoming facility, but you're going to hold their hand through the initial processes until they're comfortable to carry on with their membership. I think that's a big message.
And I think this is why the creative content is so important around, you know, filming that journey from the start of the building to get to the gym. Let them see that that's not as scary as they've probably imagined it for all these years. And you know, even in the gym, I think that this particular group still have this expectation of leotards and Barbies jumping around. And, you know, we've come a long way as an industry. And I think that they kind of need to visually see that. So testimonial content is really great, especially if you can find people that would fit within that demographic who have just joined. I just think that really taking away the fear of what to expect when they walk in is one of the key barriers that people really need to get over. Because you know what it's like with anything. Once you get in there and you do that first session, you're like, oh, that's not so bad, it's fine. But everything has to focus on making that first visit and that first session as comfortable as possible for them, without making them feel like you're treating them special at the same time. Very fine balance.
And I think it's always the first visit is always the hardest for most people, unless you're a really confident gym goer and you bounce around different gyms and you can just breeze in and get on with it. That first visit is always the tricky one, and that's the message to get across. And these people are looking for the health seekers sort of membership, and it's going to be an interesting time getting the 85% engaged with us, but I think we can do it with the messages that we put out there.
Definitely. And I think looking at gyms as well that potentially have closed their doors, and looking at, I mean, if you're sort of taking a fifth of that and you take a fifth of how many members the UK have, that's a lot of people that potentially are already your keen beans, as Guy calls them, which I really loved. They're going to come to you and find you and sign up whatever. They don't need that additional support. Effectively, they just need to know that you're there, and you can do that by making sure that all your social profiles, your website and stuff like that are as up to date as they possibly can be, and making sure they can find you on a Google search. That's all these guys need. It's really looking at the additional support that you can put into the other group that will kind of make the difference on what demographic you're then bringing to the site.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last scribbled down I've got here, so about referrals. When I was back in the day selling memberships for various gyms around the Midlands, referrals for me was such an easy win. And I think in this circumstance, if you can tap into the health seeker type of member that you've already got, and they can bring their friends, I think that's a massive win for gyms now, I think. So how would you structure your referrals around that?
I think that you can't put any group out of feeling like you can't ask them. Your members are there, they're returning, which means they believe in your service. So these are a great people to just say, do you know what? Do you want to bring a family member along? Is there someone that you feel like would benefit from the service? It's really simple. I always joke with the husband, who is very much like, I'm going back, you can come back with me. And you're like, okay. So I think that there are a lot of people out there in a similar situation where you will have one party or one person in that family that loves attending the gym and will really take that health message on board, go home, look at other members of their family and say, why don't we do this together? Let's see what we can do. And I think at the moment, we've always put out there a reward for doing it. But I think at the moment, the reward after everything that we've been through is actually reaching out to each other and making sure that we're helping each other to improve our health. I don't think that there's any better time to turn it into an emotional reward than actually a physical or a financial one, which we've always done before. And then the benefit of the health seekers that do come in, to get them to refer someone, ironically, they'll probably go the other way, where they'll bring in someone who is more confident because that's actually what they need. So this is where you may find that they may bring someone from a different facility who decides to swap and change in order to support that member with them. So there's different ways, as with everything, of making sure that whatever particular group you're talking to, you give them the right reason for referral. But it's such a cheap way to advertise effectively. That's the reason why we was always pushed to do it before. And you do it at the time, but when you look back, you it really is the most cheapest and effective way of not only bringing in new members, but creating buddy systems where suddenly you're creating loyalty because they want to come together and don't want to let each other down. It's a complete win-win situation.
Yeah, definitely. I think when it's a membership off the back of a referral, it improves your retention figures.
Definitely.
I'll say tenfold, just massively as well, because it's a social place, isn't it? These worlds. It's been great doing Zoom classes and throughout lockdown, but we all want to get back into a facility with the people that we want to hang out with. So, yeah, referrals are the way forward in my eyes. Definitely. Brilliant. Right then. There's no more questions coming through. If anybody does have any questions, fire it through quickly. We're going to sign off now, if not. So thank you very much for everybody for jumping onto the webinar today. Thank you, Tanya, for hosting for us. Did a cracking job. We'll book you again for a couple of weeks' time. We're going to obviously put the recording up a bit later. So yeah, thanks for joining, and we will see you all on the next one. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.